Chapter 1. The Silence. It had been exactly 18 days since Tesla founder Elon Musk posted his last tweet. SpaceX's official account was silent. Even his personal social media showed no activity. For the most hyperactive figure in the tech world, this was extraordinary. Wall Street was in a panic. Tesla's stock dropped further each day, investors anxiously watching developments. The lack of updates about SpaceX's upcoming Mars mission was an additional source of concern. Even employees at Tesla's Austin factory were in the dark. Musk's assistants brushed off questions with only personal reasons. But the truth was far stranger than anyone imagined. That morning, Musk sat alone at SpaceX's Boca Chica facility, reading the letter in his hand over and over. The envelope came from Switzerland, stamped with CERN's seal. Its contents were highly classified and had not been sent through normal channels. Dear Mr. Musk, the letter began. We urgently request your attention. In our recent experiments at the Large Hadron Collider, we detected an extraordinary anomaly. We must share this discovery with you. Please come to Geneva as soon as possible. Dr. Elena Vasquez, CERN Theoretical Physics Division. Musk folded the letter and slipped it into his pocket. 24 hours later, his private jet was flying towards Switzerland. Chapter 2. The Secret Invitation. Security at CERN was far tighter than usual. Greeting Musk at the entrance, Dr. Vasquez looked young but exhausted. Her red hair was messy, and there were dark circles under her eyes. Thank you for coming, she said, leading Musk toward the main laboratory. There are documents you'll need to sign, ensuring you won't share what you're about to see. The hallways were unusually quiet. A few technicians hurried past, all with the same anxious look on their faces. Musk realized this was far from a normal research day. What kind of anomaly are we talking about? Musk asked. Dr. Vasquez stopped and met his eyes. It's better if I show you. But I can tell you this. It's a situation where the laws of physics no longer behave the way we know them. Inside the main lab, a group of scientists stood silently in front of massive screens. Dr. Vasquez gestured to Musk, urging him to look. 3 days ago, we were conducting a standard particle collision experiment, she explained. Energy levels were normal, everything was as expected. But at the moment of collision, something happened. For a brief moment, it was as if a window opened to somewhere else. Musk frowned. What do you mean by window? Dr. Vasquez tapped a few keys. A blurry recording appeared on the screen. Chapter 3. The First Image. At first the image looked meaningless. The energy burst from the particle collision. And then, for just 0.3 seconds, reality seemed to tear open. Through that tear, another place could be seen. This recording lasts less than half a second, Dr. Vasquez said. But what's inside is astonishing. The image was unclear, but familiar. A workshop, tools scattered around, and a man working among them. When the man lifted his head toward the camera, Musk's heart skipped a beat. The man was him, but also not him. This other Musk wore a simple blue t-shirt and worn jeans. His hair was cut differently, and his face carried an expression Elon had never worn. Peaceful, plain, simply content. That's me, Musk said, his voice filled with shock. Yes, Dr. Vasquez confirmed. But also not. Our analysis indicates this image came from a parallel universe. Something long theorized, but never observed until now. Musk leaned closer. This other version of him tinkered with a tool, living an entirely different life. There were no Tesla or SpaceX logos, only simple mechanical projects scattered across the workshop. In that world, I never founded Tesla, Musk muttered. So it seems, Dr. Vasquez replied. That version of you followed an entirely different path. Chapter 4. The Divergence. Over the next hours, CERN's team explained further. The theory of parallel universes had existed for decades, but was never observed. This recording could revolutionize theoretical physics. Every decision we make, Dr. Vasquez explained, may split the universe in two. One version makes one choice, the other takes the opposite. Versions of us branching endlessly. Musk sat deep in thought. That man me, he looked happier. Perhaps he was, said Dr. Vasquez. But it's only a snapshot. We can't see the struggles in his life. Suddenly a technician shouted, Dr. Vasquez. New footage. Everyone rushed to the screens. This time the image was clearer, lasting longer. Parallel Musk opened a notebook, writing inside it. On the cover were the words, The Parallel Project, Version 2. What does that mean? Musk asked. Dr. Vasquez's face turned grim. It seems he, too, is working on parallel universes. Chapter 5, The Frightening Truth. The footage continued. Parallel Musk closed the notebook, then looked up sharply. His eyes widened in shock, as though he realized something. He stared directly into the camera. Can he see us? Whispered one of the technicians. Parallel Musk opened his mouth, forming words. There was no sound, but a lip-reading expert translated. Are you there? The lab fell silent. This wasn't just a one-way image. If he could see them, things were far more complex. Musk stepped closer to the screen. His parallel self seemed to mirror his movement. This is impossible, Dr. Vasquez whispered. Two-way communication can't happen. Parallel Musk tore a page from his notebook. On it, he wrote coordinates. 47.6062 degrees north, 122.3321 degrees west. He held it to the camera. What do those coordinates point to? Musk asked. A technician typed quickly. Seattle, Washington, Bellevue area. Parallel Musk then flipped the paper and wrote two more words. The gate. Chapter 6, The Decision. Tension gripped the lab. Some scientists panicked, insisting they shut down the experiment. Even Dr. Vasquez hesitated. This could be extremely dangerous, she warned. If we establish an active link between universes, the consequences are unpredictable. But Musk was resolute. No, keep going. Mr. Musk, this is too risky. Even in theory, inter-universe transfer is catastrophic. I'm used to risk, Musk said, eyes locked on the screen. Do you see that man, that me? That could have been my life. Maybe it should have been. Parallel Musk tore another page from his notebook, sketching a map of Seattle and circling a precise location. Underneath, he wrote, Midnight. Come alone. He's communicating with us, Musk said. This isn't random. Dr. Vasquez hesitated, then finally agreed. But be careful. If you go, there's no telling what you'll find. Musk pulled out his phone and booked a flight to Seattle. Chapter 1, Shocking Accusation. In November 2026, television screens across the globe displayed the same headline. The morning news anchor, glancing down at the papers in hand, made a historic announcement. One of the most recognizable names in the tech world, a billionaire entrepreneur, is facing federal fraud charges. Alarm bells rang on the New York Stock Exchange. Tesla shares plunged 30% from the opening bell. SpaceX lost billions of dollars in market value within minutes. Neuralink and other affiliated companies suffered a similar collapse. Investors were in full panic. According to a statement from federal prosecutors, SpaceX was accused of misusing public funds in a classified defense project. The project, presented as part of the Mars colonization program, was allegedly a covert military satellite system initiative. Billions of taxpayer dollars, prosecutors claimed, had been diverted for the wrong purpose. At SpaceX headquarters in Los Angeles, employees were in shock. Engineers and technical staff whispered nervously in the hallways. No one had seen this coming. Security officers implemented extra precautions to keep journalists from entering the building. At Tesla's factory in Austin, a similar scene unfolded. While production lines continued to run normally, urgent meetings were underway in the executive offices. The company's legal team mobilized to assess the implications. On Twitter, now known as X, the situation exploded. The hashtag Musk on trial went global within minutes. Millions posted their opinions. Some declared their support, while others voiced doubts. At SpaceX's Hawthorne facilities, rockets still stood ready on their launch pads. But everything was now uncertain. NASA contracts were being questioned, the Artemis program hung in the balance, and even resupply missions to the International Space Station seemed at risk. FBI agents raided the Starship site at Boca Chica. They collected documents and seized computers for forensic review. Employees were interrogated. Outside the gates, reporters documented every move. The billionaire's lawyers called an emergency press conference. The senior partner of a prestigious Washington, D.C. law firm stepped to the podium. Our client is entirely innocent. These charges are baseless and politically motivated, he declared firmly. The defense team was led by a former federal prosecutor experienced in high-stakes cases. Constitutional law experts, white-collar crime specialists, and cybersecurity professionals rounded out the roster. Each of them knew this would be the defining case of their careers. European markets also trembled. Employees at Tesla's Gigafactory near Berlin were uneasy. Production continued, but leadership was rattled. EU regulators began to closely monitor the situation. In China, Tesla's Shanghai plant kept operating, but local partners voiced concern. Government officials chose to wait and watch. The media mobilized at full force. CNN, BBC, Fox News, and other major outlets rolled out special coverage. Analysts filled studio panels, speculating on the case's potential outcomes. It was quickly declared the biggest news story of the decade. Silicon Valley giants remained silent. CEOs of Apple, Google, and Meta withheld comment, though behind closed doors speculation was rampant. Everyone wondered who might be next. Fans of the billionaire rallied online. The hashtag #IStandWithElon spread rapidly. Supporters insisted the accusations were part of a conspiracy. Tesla owners panicked at the thought their cars could lose value overnight. Wall Street analysts rushed out reports. The duration of the sell-off was unknown. Some argued the crisis was temporary, while others warned of long-term consequences. A date was set for the first hearing. The federal courthouse in San Francisco was selected as the venue. Security was heightened, and press access was strictly limited. The prosecution team was already deep into preparations. Years had gone into building this case, and it was seen as a career-making opportunity. The Deputy Attorney General reminded staff of the trial's gravity. Chapter 2. Courtroom Preparations. The federal courthouse in San Francisco was busier than it had been in years. Security was tightened around the building, with additional metal detectors and X-ray scanners installed. Marshals stood guard at every corner. Reporters from around the world camped outside. CNN, BBC, Reuters, AP, all the major outlets had dispatched teams. Satellite trucks ringed the courthouse. Inside, seating was limited, but demand was overwhelming. Hundreds of requests for press credentials poured in. The judge set up a system to determine which outlets would be allowed inside. The defense team settled into a luxury hotel nearby. Lawyers worked around the clock, refining their strategy. Constantly in touch with their client, they examined every possible angle. The prosecution was equally busy. A special war room was established in the federal building. Evidence, documents, and witness statements were meticulously organized. Technicians upgraded the courtroom. Screens for digital evidence, an enhanced sound system, and simultaneous translation equipment were installed to accommodate the international press. As the first hearing approached, the courthouse grounds began to resemble a festival. Supporters and critics gathered with signs. Street vendors sold "Free Elon" t-shirts. Law enforcement prepared for every scenario. Local police, FBI, Secret Service, and U.S. Marshals coordinated security. Metal barricades surrounded the courthouse. Chapter 3. The trial begins. On the morning of the trial, crowds gathered early. Reporters jostled for the best vantage points. Live broadcast vans jammed the street. Helicopters circled overhead for aerial shots. Judge Mary Rodriguez, experienced in high-profile cases, entered the courtroom. A former federal prosecutor herself, she was known for her objectivity. The room fell silent as she took her seat. The prosecution arrived with boxes of documents. Lead prosecutor James Patterson, a 30-year veteran, had prepared for the case of his career. At the defense table sat a colorful team. Lead attorney Jennifer Walsh, a Harvard Law School graduate and constitutional law expert, cybersecurity specialist David Kim, and Robert Stone, a former FBI agent turned lawyer. Jury selection had taken days. 12 jurors and 6 alternates were carefully chosen. Each had basic knowledge of technology, but swore they could remain impartial. Patterson opened with a bold statement. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, before you is the story of how billions of dollars were stolen. Contracts with NASA were a cover for a secret plan, taxpayer money funneled into private gain." He projected signed contracts onto the screens. At first glance, they looked normal. But hidden records told a different story. Military satellite projects disguised as Mars missions. These documents prove the defendant knowingly misused public funds, Patterson declared. Defense attorney Walsh countered with passion. This trial is not just about one man. It is about innovation, entrepreneurship, and belief in the future being put on trial. Her strategy was clear: frame the case as politically motivated, orchestrated by rivals. We will prove these so-called documents are not authentic. They are deepfake fabrications generated by artificial intelligence. My client is being targeted. The first witness, former NASA contracts manager Dr. Susan Chun, supported the prosecution's claims, testifying that SpaceX presented military projects as Mars colonization. But Walsh dismantled her credibility during cross-examination. Dr. Chin admitted she had no technical expertise, only administrative oversight. The second witness, ex-SpaceX engineer Michael Torres, claimed the company secretly repurposed Mars tech for defense. But Torres's testimony faltered when it was revealed he had been fired and had ongoing disputes with the company. His motives were questioned. On day 3, the prosecution presented digital evidence: emails, financial records, computer data. Tech experts vouched for its authenticity. The defense countered with MIT's Dr. Alan Foster, who testified. The metadata shows inconsistencies. Some of these files were created after the fact. They are forgeries. Chapter 4. Questionable evidence emerges. Day 4 brought shocking developments. Washington Post journalist Sarah Martinez revealed new findings outside the courthouse. She had consulted independent forensic experts, Dr. Robert Chong of MIT Technology Review and Dr. Lisa Wong of Stanford. The digital signatures presented by the prosecution were generated by AI, Martinez reported live. Ink scans, metadata, and signature analysis all point to fabrication. The revelation hit the courtroom like a bomb. Judge Rodriguez adjourned proceedings to allow further review. The defense called world-renowned forensic specialist Dr. Amanda Foster of Carnegie Mellon. Her analysis was damning. These documents contain AI-generated signature vectors impossible with the technology available at the time. Dr. Chong corroborated. Pressure patterns and tilt angles clearly indicate deepfake generation. The media erupted with headlines like, "Is this a setup?" Social media trended with hashtag deepfakegate. The prosecution scrambled. FBI cybercrime units were called in to trace the document origins. Early findings backed the defense. Chapter 5. Secret Witness and Major Revelation. By week 5, the defense stunned the court. They would present a secret witness. For security reasons, his identity was concealed. Codenamed John X, the masked witness was a former government contracts expert with ties to the Department of Defense and NASA contractors. In 2025, I attended a meeting, John X testified, voice trembling. Representatives of 3 major aerospace companies conspired to take SpaceX down. The courtroom gasped. Judge Rodriguez ordered heightened security. The plan was detailed. Fake documents would be created, a smear campaign launched, and legal action pursued. The goal: strip SpaceX of NASA contracts. John X revealed that a private tech firm specializing in advanced AI was hired to fabricate the evidence. Signatures, emails, contracts, all fake, but highly convincing. Prosecutors were left reeling. Patterson's cross-examination was blocked due to security protocols. The FBI began verifying John X's claims. Early findings suggested the conspiracy was real. Chapter 6. Media Storm. John X's revelations shook the world. Headlines screamed, "Corporate Conspiracy." CNN, MSNBC, Fox News all aired special coverage. CBS's 60 Minutes prepared an exposé on defense industry rivalries worth billions. The Wall Street Journal calculated how much business traditional contractors had lost to SpaceX. The Financial Times examined Europe's perspective, focusing on Airbus and other competitors. Social media went wild with hashtag corporate conspiracy, hashtag deepfake scandal, and hashtag justice for innovation. Bot networks were exposed and shut down. On Reddit's r/conspiracy, users speculated that Apple, Google, and Meta could be next. Tesla fan groups mobilized with hashtag SaveTesla. Investor confidence began to rebound, stock prices recovering. Chapter 7. Collapse of the prosecution. The prosecution came under crushing pressure. Patterson's 30-year career was on the line. Justice Department leaders urged dismissal if the case collapsed further. The FBI uncovered proof supporting John X's story. The AI systems used to forge documents were traced to a private contractor. With the evidence unraveling, the DOJ considered dropping charges entirely. Patterson attempted one last stand, presenting weak alternative evidence. It failed to convince anyone. Chapter 8. verdict, and conclusion. The final day turned San Francisco's courthouse into a media circus. Broadcasts set global records. Patterson made a desperate plea. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be distracted by conspiracy theories. Public funds were misused. But his confidence was gone. Walsh countered with fire. This is proof of how failing corporations try to destroy true innovators. Deepfake technology is being weaponized against the innocent. Judge Rodriguez sent the jury to deliberate. For 10 hours later, they returned. The foreman rose. On the charge of federal fraud, we find the defendant not guilty. The courtroom exploded in cheers, applause, and camera flashes. Judge Rodriguez struggled to restore order. Epilogue, aftermath. At the post-trial press conference, Walsh declared, "Justice has prevailed. But we must learn from this. The misuse of technology threatens the legal system itself." The billionaire made a brief statement. "They tried to silence me. They failed. Innovation will continue. Our mission to Mars is unchanged." The FBI pressed on with its conspiracy investigation. Arrests were expected. Stock prices soared. SpaceX up 40%, Tesla climbing alongside. Investors breathed a sigh of relief. Congress proposed a special committee to study deepfake technology's impact on the justice system. Media outlets reflected on their own vulnerability to fake news. This case became a landmark, reshaping how courts and society handled digital evidence. In 2027, the first crewed Mars mission was officially announced. The tech world resumed, but with newfound caution. The battle between technology and the law was far from over. Humanity's ability to adapt to this new age remained uncertain. Thus ended the trial of the century. But the struggle between justice and technology had only just begun.